for your life. Your teachers come here daily for your life. It is your life that we are talking about. We're talking about, not talking about some old gray-headed man who can make speeches. We're talking about your life. You remember that. When you get ready to doze off to sleep, when you get to say something funny to your friend and giggle or snicker, remember, it is your life we are talking about. And when someone asks you, what did that man talk to you all about? Say, he talked to me about my life. Because that's what I'm going to talk to you about. Your life. And at times it will not be a pretty picture. Because your life, the flight of your life, is sometimes not a pretty picture. As I got dressed to come here this morning, I heard on the news, as I usually do every morning, I watch the news while I'm getting dressed to go to work, and I heard on the news that some kid your age was chased into some fast food restaurant and stabbed to death as people watched. We are talking about your life. So if there has been any confusion about what this was all about and what we were talking about, I want you to be clear on it now, that we are talking about your life. We are talking about your future. We are talking about the kind of world that you're going to live in and how you will fit into that world. And it is on you, no one else. Now, I'd like to ask a couple of questions, and sometimes I do some very unorthodox things. I do some things that are unplanned and unprompted. So I want to ask a couple of you. Who is going to be courageous enough to raise his hand and answer this question even before it's asked? Okay, there's a courageous guy, and there's another one. Tell me, sir, this is a very easy question. What did you expect to hear this morning? When they said we're going to have an assembly, and a man is going to come and talk to us, what did you think the man might talk to you about?
Well, they said it was for all black men, so we need to talk about statistics on death rates and stuff like that.
Okay, you said that you heard that it's going to be all black men, or all African American men, whatever the fad is now, and you thought that I was going to talk to you about statistics on the deaths of black males in this country. And if I had decided to talk to you about that, that certainly would have been a lot of material about which to talk, because the statistics are really, really frightening and frustrating. Now, we have another young man over here. What did you think the speaker was going to talk about?
I thought he was going to talk about drugs and gang violence and take care of responsibilities.
Okay, you thought I was going to talk about drugs, gangs, and violence, and personal responsibility. Okay. Do you think those are good things to talk to you about?
I suppose I heard enough of that.
You've heard enough of that. That's interesting. You've heard enough of it. And I've seen too much of it. So maybe I shouldn't talk to you about stuff like that. The principal of my school had a man to come in and pull black children out of the classes and talk to them about gangs, because she had heard that they were members of a gang. And she brought them in, she brought in this man and just took them out of class without notice and pulled them all to a special room in the school and said, now I suspect that you're all in gangs. This man has come to talk to you about gangs. What do you think about that? Suppose you had been pulled out of class this morning and I said, we're going to talk to you about gangs because I understand some of you are wearing your pants halfway down on your butt and your hats on sideways, and that's what gangs do, and I'm going to talk to you about gangs. What would you have thought, sir? What is your name? Jimmy? Okay, what would you have thought if I had brought you in here and said I was going to talk to you about gangs?
I would probably mostly half the people in the school that really got much to do with
That's what you would have thought. Well, I kind of thought that also, that to get African American children out of classes and talk to them about gangs is missing the point. To get you out of class and talk to you about killings is missing the point. To get you out of class and talk to you about all of those negative things is missing the point. This school is not here to teach people about gangs. We're all in gangs. I belong to a gang. You might not have known that. The gang I belong to is the NEA, National Educational Association. I belong to another gang. Christians is a gang started by Jesus, that little bunch of people back there 2,000 years ago, and now they've mushroomed into a mass of humanity called Christianity. That's a gang. I belong to that. I belong to other gangs, but all the gangs I belong to are about building humanity and making life better. They are not about degrading activities. They are not about selling drugs and stealing cars and killing their brothers and sisters and mothers and aunts and grandparents. So it's not so much what you belong to. It's what you are about. I didn't come here to talk to potential gang members. I came to talk to potential business leaders, potential senators, potential presidents, potential men and women who are going to run the country. I came here to talk to you about potential persons who are going to be the best that America could produce. I didn't come to talk to gang members, not of the sordid, sinister kind. I came to talk to you because I was told that you are students in school becoming educated. To be a member of a gang, some teenage bunch of hoodlums? No. You're becoming educated to be the best that you can be. So I would like to talk to you for a few minutes on this subject. You can get there from here. You can get there from here. Now, where is it that you want to go? Where is it that you want to go? Where are you? Now, if a man thinks seriously about where he wants to go, he ought to consider the distance he has to travel. And if, in order to gauge the distance correctly, he has to do two things. He has to know 2 points. And those 2 points are, he must know where he is and exactly where he's trying to go, and he must gauge the distance between where he is and where he's going. I have a car with a computer in it that I can punch in where I'm going and the distance, and the computer will read out and tell me what time I'm going to get there. Now, where is it that you want to go? What do you want to be? Let me find out in a couple of things. What do you want to be, son? You don't know. Well, I didn't hear what you said. Speak up. What do you want to be? Want to be a doctor. Okay. Why are you laughing? Was that someone laughing at him wanting to be a doctor? Let me tell you, I knew a kid once who wanted to be a doctor. He was in high school with me. A high school pretty much like this one. He had a weird name. His name was Herman Weaver. Don't laugh at Herman Weaver's name. He wouldn't like that. And when we were in the 9th grade, the teacher said, "What do you all want to be?" And we all said fancy things, and they asked Herman Weaver, and he said, "I want to be a doctor." And we laughed at him. Herman Weaver, a doctor. I can just see your sign outside of your office. Herman Weaver, doctor. He lived in a little place called Metcalf, Mississippi. A little run-down place of all black people. and that's where he lived. And his people were poor. They chopped and picked cotton. And this kid had the nerve to say that he wanted to be a doctor. Well, they asked us again in the 10th grade, said, what do you all want to be? And we all said all kinds of things, and they got to Herman Weaver, and he said, I want to be a doctor. And again we laughed, because Herman Weaver had the nerve to want to be a doctor, coming out of that little situation, living in that little rundown house, wanting to be a doctor. And this went on. And finally, when we graduated from high school, they were talking about what they wanted to be, and Herman Weaver wrote it in the yearbook. What do you want to be? And he said, I want to be a doctor. Went off to Alcorn College in Lorman, Mississippi, with that dream of being a doctor. Still saying that, I want to be a doctor. Then several years later, after being out of Greenville, Mississippi for 10 or 15 years, I went back home to visit. And one day, in one of the stores there, I saw Herman Weaver. And we were glad to see each other. I hadn't seen him since high school. And we talked, and he said, what are you doing now? I said, well, I teach school up in St. Louis. He said, that's wonderful. I said, I travel and do some speeches here and there. He said, that's really wonderful. And I said, what do you do? He reached in his pocket and got this fancy card. Dr. Weaver. He said, oh, I'm a doctor. I have my own practice in Chicago. Don't laugh at people's dreams. You can get there from here. Now, if you want to get somewhere, you must know where you are. Where are you? You are high school students here in University City. Now, those kids over there who are laughing, you're making fun of your life. Now, if your life is no more precious than something to be laughed at a time like this, I have no power over that, but I told you that we are talking about your life. As a matter of fact, you might be demonstrating that I care more about your life than you do, because I take it seriously. And some of you might not take it all that seriously. After all, it is your life. Now, how do you get there from here? Where are you? Here you are in school. High school. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And you have these dreams way out there, long-range goals that you want to get there. And you have all kinds of obstacles. You have everybody after you. You have the gang members after some of you. You have the beautiful young ladies after, well, I don't guess they want you all. But the other guys in the neighborhood have the beautiful young ladies after them. Oh, you're running after ladies, they're not running after you too much. But you have all of that. Then you have the athletics. You have all kinds of stuff. And then you have that bad outfit that you want to get right now, and a job that you want to get right now, so you have the money to do those things, to be cool. You have all of that. And these long-range goals are out there. Doctors and heads of corporations and lawyers and politicians. That's all out there. And how do you get there from here? Well, one of the things you have to do first is you have to handle being here. You have to handle being here. Now, I'm going to say something to you that you're not going to like, but you better become comfortable with this. This is a terrible, terrible thing to say to you. I see you as a bunch of boys, and no one at this school dares call you that. They all call you young men. I don't see you as young men. I'll call you that because it's fashionable.